Grand Rising people, welcome to Phantom Vitality, where we discuss news, tips, and takes on health, wealth, and the world at large. If you don't know who I are, my name is Phantom Noir. Here's your daily crypto update. So, starting off with the Bitcoin price, we are currently at 41,679. Things are holding steady. Bitcoin hit a low of 40,000 on the 8th, which was Saturday, but it rebounded from that to go back to 41,000. Down overall 12% on the week, 11.9% on the month, but still up 3.4% on the year. As for Ethereum, we are at $3,119.48, down 18.7% on the week and down 20.4% on the month, but still up a whopping 143.1% on the year. As for the Fear and Greed Index, it is up from the last time we looked at it. Last time we looked at it was like in the, I think it was like in the like teens still. Now it's coming up. We're still in extreme fear, but we're at 23 right now. So that means that while there's still a little bit of blood on the streets, some people are still starting to gain a little bit of optimism as the Bitcoin price just, is at a standstill, if you will. It's not really moving too far up. It's not moving up, but it's not moving too far down. So there's that. Now, let's get into the stories for today. So the first story we have today is electric car owner says he's hacked his Tesla Model 3 and he's mined up to $800 a month of mining Ethereum. So let's read on. According to the 2018 Tesla Model 3 owner Siraj Raval, he mined up to $800 a month in crypto assets with his hacked out electric car. Similarly, Chris Alessi, the owner of a Tesla Model S, tethered a Bitmain Antminer S9 to his car's electrical system to mine Bitcoin, and he's mined Monero with the car's internal computer as well. Says this week, two Tesla owners explained how they rigged their cars to mine digital currencies. According to Siraj Raval, he connected graphics processing units, also known as GPUs, to his 2018 Tesla Model 3 in order to mine crypto assets with his car. While the modification to the Tesla system voids his warranty, Raval stressed that it's worth it and claims to have raked in $800 a month in Ethereum during last year's Ether price highs. The electric car dealer from Wisconsin, Chris Alessi, started doing the same thing in 2018. Alessi has been tinkering with ideas like this for a while, and he operates a YouTube channel called K-Man Auto, working on custom electric vehicles. I like electricity. I like zapping stuff, building stuff. You give me electric motor, I give you a finished product, Alessi told CNBC on January 8th. So these guys are using their Teslas to mine crypto, which this is something that I actually been thinking about a lot recently in terms of, is it possible? Could it be done? So I guess you could say that it could be done. I checked on this story. I seen the story beforehand on Reddit, and a lot of people didn't have a lot of nice things to say about Raval. Essentially, some people made the argument that he was actually using like taxpayers' dollars to pretty much mine this cryptocurrency or mine whatever cryptocurrencies he was mining. The other thing is he's saying that it's worth it, but in reality, he has a 2018 Tesla. I don't know how long he'll have that, but at $800 a month, and with a recent story that came out where the guy was I think they offered him $21,000 to replace his Tesla motor. That means that this guy would have to be, he would have to be weathering the storm, and he would have to be continually and consistently, mining that same amount of, whatever cryptocurrency he was mining to be able to replace the battery on that Tesla. And he probably would have to do that after like 3 years, after a good 3 years of mining. So there's that. In terms of another company working on it, so let's read about that. It says, this past June, the Canada-based electric vehicle company Daymac revealed plans to launch an electric car called the Spiritus that is able to mine cryptocurrencies. So I've never heard of this country. I've never heard of this company before, but it does raise a very interesting proposition for the future. This is something I definitely thought about with electric cars and creating smart cities in terms of having them mine cryptocurrencies. Ultimately, what I think will happen is we'll have a world in which no one really owns. Well, people will definitely own cars, but more people will just elect to rent the car. And with these Teslas and with these electric cars, they're going to be easier to rent and easier for, it's going to be easier to rent, easier for you to safely rent. So we're going to see more like cars just being on the street, and anybody will just hop in a car and just drive it around, or, just use a Waymo and just sit in a car and drive around in it. And while these cars are charging, I expect these cars to be mining cryptocurrencies while they're charging. So I mentioned this before about, everything always, going in multiple directions in terms of the energy. So if they're using this energy, or if they're like if they're like drawing in electricity, they should be using the electricity to at least mine cryptocurrencies and bring it back out. It's interesting to definitely hear that people are using their own cars to mine crypto. And there's multiple people who are doing this. I don't know. The other question is, what are the ramifications for their cars if they're mining crypto with it? Okay, it's like, can the car handle the load, or is it weakening the car's batteries, or is it is a I don't know. There has to be a trade-off. It can't just be they're mining their cars, or they're mining crypto with their cars, and then their cars are still running at like a high level. There has to be something that has to be attached to it. So there's that story. Um, let's get to the next story, which is Disney is patenting technology for a theme park metaverse. So it says the multinational entertainment giant was approved for a virtual world simulator patent during the last week of December 2021. Disney has been approved for a patent that would create personalized interactive attractions for theme park visitors. The technology would facilitate headset-free augmented reality attractions at Disney theme parks. The tech would work by tracking visitors using their mobile phones and generating and projecting personalized 3D effects onto nearby physical spaces, walls, and objects in the park. Um, of course, this is creepy because they're saying that they're going to track people using their phones and then projecting personalized 3D effects, which, I mean, we've already, like, if you've seen like that army commercial with the guy and he like jumps through the puddle and he starts fighting because he sees himself like in that. We've already seen like the propaganda towards that. So um I don't know how I feel about that personally. I would just turn it off. As long as you can turn it off, as long as I can turn that off, I have no problem with it. But it's just something that I would personally want to, you know, be a part of or see. And it raises the question. It doesn't raise the question. It raises the concern as to what all this stuff is about. It's just like all they're doing is just trying to find new and new and new and new ways to sell you stuff. They're just always trying to sell you something. Like it's always a constant war. For they always just trying to take some money out of your pocket. And this is what I noticed about these companies. I'm thinking that there's gonna be a split in, the way people think. You're gonna have people who are very consumerist, who are just buy, and they just, pretty much like majority of America, where they just work to consume, they just work to spend money. And you're gonna have the people who, take that money and they don't even want to spend it on anything. Like the frugal lifestyle is gonna really like boost because of this over exertion of people wanting to sell you stuff and people constantly trying to advertise stuff to you. And then, even this, like they're gonna try to personalize the ads. They're gonna track your phone and then they're gonna show you ads everywhere you go. So I don't know about that, but let's keep reading. The entertainment giant was approved for a virtual world simulator in a real world venue patent on December 28, 2021. It was originally filed to the United States Patent and Trademark Office in July 2020. The metaverse has largely been imagined as existing on the internet, access to using virtual reality or AR headsets. However, the technology proposed by Disney would bring the metaverse to the physical world. This is not the first time Disney has indicated its interest in the metaverse. During the company's fourth quarter earnings call during November 2021, CEO Bob Chapek said the firm is preparing to blend physical and digital assets in the metaverse. We'll be able to connect the physical and digital worlds even more closely, allowing for storytelling without boundaries in our own metaverse. In November 2020, Disney Resorts Chief Strategy Officer Tilak Mandati shared in a LinkedIn article that he had his sights set on blending the digital and physical world. As we look to the future, connected park experiences that transcend the physical and digital barrier and unlock new layers of storytelling are a very exciting focus of ours. So there's this story. Disney is going to create their own metaverse. They're going to create their own AR virtual reality experience in which they're going to try to sell you stuff when you go into Disneyland. The question is, what are they going to do when you leave Disneyland? They're going to keep tracking you probably. They're probably going to keep looking at what you're doing on your computer or your phone. They're going to see what website you go on. They're going to see everything. It's like at this point, like, I don't know if this whole world, and I personally, like, we all know what Disney is about. We know what Disney is about already. We know like the image that they portray in the reality of what goes on within that company. We know ultimately it's just all about selling and it's all about getting eyeballs and entertaining people or giving people the idea that they're being entertained. But ultimately, they're adopting this metaverse theme and we'll see what happens. And people are gonna gobble it up as usual, but I have my doubts about it. Not about the technology, but about the company that is utilizing the technology. And ultimately, this is just about how they can just, like I said before, make more money and sell you more things. So there's that. And let's move on to the final story of the day, which is Kenya is looking to scale up adoption of cryptocurrencies this year. So it says Kenya is set to lead the world's peer-to-peer cryptocurrency market for the second consecutive year, Marius Rates, the general manager for Luno cryptocurrency exchange in Africa, has reportedly predicted. In justifying his selection of Kenya ahead of the usual heavyweights, the GM is quoted in a report pointing to the East African countries' booming crypto market as well as Kenyan people's from familiarity with digital payment solutions. The country's crypto industry is booming with a rapidly emerging crop of companies building blockchain based solutions, and considering its young population, high heels of mobile connectivity, and familiarity with digital payment solutions like mobile money, it's firmly positioned to emerge as East Africa's leading crypto hub in 2022. Bitcoin.com News has previously reported on the surge in Kenya's peer-to-peer cryptocurrency volumes, which had seen topple South Africa to become the country with the second highest P2P volumes in Africa. P2P means peer-to-peer. Besides predicting Kenya's continued dominance of the P2P cryptocurrency market, Rates is also quoted in the report explaining the continuing difficulties faced by African companies that wish to access foreign currency from formal markets. He predicts that such Africa based companies will be forced to look towards cryptocurrencies as an alternative means of handling cross border transactions. However, Rates is quoted in the same report warning that real progress in this area will also depend on the progress on the regulatory front. He said, similar to most aspects of the crypto industry, progress in this area will be heavily dependent on a favorable regulatory climate, and should this materialize, cryptocurrencies could emerge as a major asset for companies with extensive operations throughout Africa. So this is another big story. Africa is definitely going to be a continent in which there's going to be a lot of cryptocurrency adoption. And honestly, when we start seeing more cryptocurrency adoption in Africa, it's so crazy because right now, like everyone who's listening to this right now, and if you're listening to this, smash up the likes, comment, subscribe, tell me your thoughts about the news, all of that. But anyway, everyone who's listening right now is so early in crypto. All we have to do is keep investing, not financial advice, but all we have to do is just keep, investing our time and our energy and our labor and our knowledge to this industry because we're still so early. We're talking about just Kenya alone. Out of all of the, countries in Africa, the ones who are adopting crypto the most is Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa. Now, because of the boom of cryptocurrencies in Nigeria, it's starting to cause like I would call it a diaspora, for lack of a better term. It's causing a diaspora within West Africa. So we're starting to see like Cameroon and Senegal starting to pick up on that. When you look at Google Trends, we're starting to see these countries starting to pick up on it. So ultimately, what's going to happen within the next 5 to 10 to 20 years, we're going to see a whole, a global, of course, we're going to see a more globalized, cryptocurrency network, but we're also going to see a more, connected Africa in terms of cryptocurrencies. And Africa right now is poised to really rise. And it's going to be very interesting to watch what happens to a lot of these Western countries when, these African countries are coming for them. And not just the African countries, but a lot of countries like, different countries like Russia and, a lot like El Salvador, Mexico. A lot of these countries are coming. They're coming. At the end of the day, this is the game that these European countries and these Western countries set. You guys set this game up of GDPs and Guinea and, productivity and exports and imports. So ultimately, what this is looking like is, as more people in Kenya start using cryptocurrencies, and then they're going to start using it for cross-border transactions, and then they're going to start using it for trade. All it takes is for these politicians in Africa to grow more independent of that Western influence and realize the power that they have, because they have they have like the holy trinity. They have the natural resources, they have the labor resources, and then on top of it all, they have, the youth. So Africa has the third largest population in the world, but they also have the largest population of young people in the world. They have more people under the age of 25 than anywhere else in the world. Number, like, boom. Then they still have their natural resources, and the farming industries in Africa are booming. So, and when we're talking about food shortages and all those different type of things, what's gonna happen is nobody's gonna want those Bill Gates GMO foods unless they feel forced to get it. But that's also going to mean that all the crops that are coming out of African countries, and it's building. It's this is a market that's building. Like more and more and more people in Africa are setting up their own, livestock or crop or operations. So as more people in Africa start to, build up and create these natural resources in these farms and start exporting a lot of that, we're gonna see a lot of money flowing into Africa because of that. Particularly, in Europe and the United States of America. Now, the difficulty with the United States of America is always, their geographical position on the planet, as they're pretty, like, in terms of the trade route, the most feasible trade route that happens from Africa is usually to New York or Miami. Like you're not gonna ship anything. Maybe Texas, maybe they can do Texas, but all these are gonna take. It takes longer. It's gonna take much longer. So when I look at it, I see Europe, the Middle East, and Asia, particularly Southeast Asia and Japan, and of course China, because China is already down there. So I see those regions really benefiting from African imports, and Africa is going to definitely benefit from that as well. I think that's the reason why China put so much money into them. But of course, the Africans in certain places have to be wary, specifically like Zambia. They have to be wary, and they have to remember that this is their country, and they can't let people come in and just take over their country. But to get back to this, the cryptocurrency adoption, another aspect of it is the simple fact that fiat currency does not work in Africa. Africa is where the concept of money was even, created. The concept of money started in Africa. The Egyptians were trading money, and they were using gold, and they were doing that in Africa thousands and thousands of years ago. So it's pretty backwards for these African countries to go and then think that this fractional reserve banking system with fiat money and a central bank is working for them, because it hasn't worked. When you look at Zimbabwe, when you look at Nigeria, when you look at these places, their currencies are trash, because they've trashed their own currencies, because they've adopted so many bad habits from these Western countries when it comes to that corruption, when it comes to just that alone, just the corruption, the level of corruption that they've brought, that they've learned from these diplomats overseas. They go to these UN meetings, and they go to these different summits, and they go meet with these people, and they just talk about how they can be corrupt, and how they can just, get around the system and, stay on top. And of course, they're going to listen to that, and they're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, we're going to do that, because they're thinking it benefits them, and they don't even realize that ultimately it doesn't benefit them at all. It benefits the Western overlords that you're allowing yourself to be under the feet of. Because ultimately, what they're doing is they know that you're going to continue to be subservient to them, as long as they give you the little tips and clues on how to go and get around this and get around that and be corrupt. This is a big problem that, you know, a lot of African countries have, is their corruption. And like I said before, with the most young people in the entire world concentrated in Africa, we're gonna see that changing. We're gonna see the tide turn, and cryptocurrency is gonna lead that. And ultimately, African people are not ones to take anything lightly. They're not gonna lay down and take anything. If it comes down to it, they will revolt. They will always revolt, and they will always fight back. We saw it going on in Nigeria, and they got quieted down. There was some stuff from some police brutality that was going on over there, and I got quieted down real quick. But they will fight back, and they will, you know, say, yo, our currency is not doing well. We're going to use cryptocurrencies instead. And that's what a lot of people in Africa have been doing. They have been using cryptocurrencies to trade, to make sales, to as a form of commerce. And with the emergence of cryptocurrency, we're going to see a lot of unbanked Africans, you know, get into the financial system, which is ultimately what is most beneficial. And as long as they become players in the system, and literate players within the system, we're going to see a lot of success out of Africa. I personally predict that, you know, a few African countries are going to start cracking the top 25 in GDP. They're going to start getting up there. And ultimately, we might see like Nigeria and Ghana and Kenya and Rwanda and South Africa start getting in that top 25 range. A lot of countries are going to start falling. They're going to start falling from those myths. But this is ultimately what the world is going to. The producers will produce, the consumers will consume. And when you have a nation of consumers, they will continue to consume, and they will become subservient to those who are producing. That's how it was with America before. America used to be a major producer. They used to produce televisions, cars, makeup, all these different things, and it was going all over the world. And this is how America became so prosperous. The United States of America became so prosperous as a country. But now the tide changed because of Nixon opening the doors to China coming in and getting all the manufacturing, and because China got almost all of the manufacturing, to which they then distributed out to Pakistan and Taiwan and Vietnam and Malaysia and all those different places. Now you see that the United States of America is so much more subservient to that. It's like you can go into a room in an average American house, and you will find that there are more items that were made overseas than were made in their own country. But ultimately, what you're going to see is this is going to become less prevalent in other countries, much less prevalent in other countries. Like, for instance, China still has its imports. All countries have their imports, but they're not going to have it to the point where, you know, everything they're bringing in is imports. Everything that they consume is an import. And ultimately, when, you know, Nigeria can solve this issue for themselves, because Nigeria is another country in which they have this problem as well, where they're just consuming, but at the same time, they don't have a lot of exports. They need more exports. So countries like that, and Nigeria is like at the top in terms of Africa right now, but not for long. If we see stuff like that continue to happen out of Kenya, out of Rwanda, out of a lot of these places where they're gonna start ramping up on their imports, when they start having these good years, when they start having these good yields, and they start saying, okay, cool, but we're exporting more and we're building up relationships. And a lot of people are going to get a part of that game. A lot of people are going to look at it and see, you know, how can I be a part of bridging, you know, those worlds together between this country and this African country in terms of getting the African exports over there, this, that, and the third. So as that continues to happen, as that continues to build, these countries are going to become much more prosperous. And if they're investing in cryptocurrency right now, and if they're early in the game right now, imagine what is going to happen when the rest of the world starts to catch up to this. Because as the rest of the world catches up, the rest of the world puts their capital into the market. When they put their capital into the market, that means that the people who are there earliest, the price will go up for them, and they will have the opportunities. They'll have first movers advantage. They'll have the advantage to say, okay, boom, I'm gonna sell for this amount. So if you have all of these young people in Africa who are gonna be making money off cryptocurrency, the crypto price of these cryptocurrencies are gonna go up. All right. And as the price of these cryptocurrencies go up, then they can sell it, and they're not thinking of going consume with it. They're thinking what they can build with that. They're thinking what kind of companies they can build up with that. We got people in Africa making, bricks like out of recyclable, materials. They're making bricks out of plastic in Africa. We got people, we have people making their own, sneakers. We got people with their own cotton farms. We got people with big rice farms over there. People in Africa are getting it in. They're getting it in. They got their big goat farms. They're making rental car companies. Like, that's the other thing about the world too. The Western world, like, you'll go on Reddit and you'll talk about Africa and Reddit, and those white kids on Reddit have no clue. They're completely oblivious. They don't even know what's going on. They think Africa is still mud huts and spears. But they don't even realize, like, a lot of these people in Africa are making more money than them in America. And for, me personally, as an African, I look at it and I say to myself, like, I want to be a part of that. Ultimately, I'm going to be a part of that. I'm going to do what I have to do and do everything in my power to be a part of that movement. So, it's great news. And I'm always going to report on any kind of, crypto news when it comes to Africa, good or bad. So I hope you're now even more informed of what's happening in the world at large. And have a great day. Peace.